Major funding for A Taste of Louisiana with John Folse and Company is made possible in part by Zatarain's authentic New Orleans-style dinner mixes. Zatarain's, a good way to jazz up dinner and a real New Orleans original since 1889.
Louisiana. She's the exception and never the rule. She's a mystery that asks not to be solved, but simply to be experienced. Louisiana, where you can come as you are and leave different. Additional funding is provided by the Friends of Louisiana Public Broadcasting and the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting.
The crawfish capital of the world is a small Caribbean Creole cottage dating back to the 1870s. This little gem had been abandoned and boarded up for over 30 years. Everyone in this small Cajun village agreed that it was a shame for a cottage with architectural and historical significance to be left to ruin. Cynthia and Dickie Breaux, with great vision, saw the possibilities, and after 1 year of intense restoration, and of course with the help of 3 professional designers, brought this bousillage cabin on the Bayou Teche back to its original grandeur. I'm Chef John Folse. Welcome to what's been described as the quintessential American dream house. Because of its porches, picket fence, and beautiful landscaping, it's every couple's dream. Welcome to Maison Des Amis, a bed and breakfast. Breaux Bridge was referred to as the Point in the Spanish census of 1766, and it designates the bend or point in the Bayou Teche that crawls through the center of the city. Teche is an Indian word for snake. Maison Des Amis was the first bed and breakfast to open in the historic downtown Breaux Bridge and is housed in one of the earliest structures built in this town. The grounds are beautifully landscaped, flowing in a pattern similar to the currents of that famous Bayou Teche. Architecturally, the house appears to be Caribbean Creole from the 1870s. But y'all, step inside and you'll immediately experience the marriage of the architecture with period furniture throughout the home, such as this mid-1800s Teche bed. Cynthia and Dickie Breaux personally scraped down the original ceilings to expose the wood used in this incredible structure, hence giving guests a view of yesteryear in Breaux Bridge. Local artists proudly display their work in certain rooms of the B&B. An artist herself, Cynthia is always willing to share her walls with other aspiring artists and, of course, local comrades. The honeymoon suite is a gorgeous and spacious room, further enhanced with this East Lake Victorian period walnut furniture. The authenticity of these groupings enhance the spirit portrayed in this quaint little bed and breakfast. Just look at this beautiful period washstand. Look how great this is. Free will, artistic expression, and appreciation for a dream reborn. That's Maison Des Amis. I think one of the greatest things about the bed and breakfast business of Louisiana is the variety of homes, the variety of people who own them, and of course the locations around the state. We have antebellum mansions, we have great chateaus from the people who came here from Europe to create our Creole culture, and then of course we have these wonderful little cabins, from one-room cabins to Maison Des Amis, just a nice Caribbean influence, obviously again from the Creoles coming up from the Caribbean into Yucatan into Louisiana. And the foods, y'all, in all these different towns vary just as much as the style of architecture. So the foods in Breaux Bridge, although it's the crawfish capital of the world, and you would normally think of everything being crawfish in that area, not so. Even though we love it, there's a lot of great dishes, and this is one of them I want to cook for you right now. This is a braised rabbit dish. Braised rabbit Fume Blanc is what I call it because of the wine that goes into it. I'm using domesticated rabbit here, and domesticated rabbit has a lot of the same flavor. I hate to say this, a lot of the flavor of chicken, y'all. It adapts very well to the herbs. Here you have thyme, you have sage, rosemary, and I'm going to cook the rabbit in a braising liquid with carrots and potatoes, these nice little new potatoes. Of course, here, look at that nice garlic, and I'm going to even throw some bay leaves into it. But first, I have to make a marinade. I want to marinate the rabbit first, and this is a very interesting dish. I have a little Louisiana style. This is regular prepared mustard, Louisiana style. I'm going to put a little olive oil into it. In fact, you can use Italian dressing. I find Italian dressing is almost one of those all-purpose marinades for fish and chicken. If you're in a hurry on the grill, throw a little Italian dressing, or make your own as I'm doing here. Olive oil, basil, thyme right into this. I'm going to tear some sage leaves in here too. I'll just throw a couple little sage leaves down in here. Some hot sauce. We want to spice it up. Louisiana cooking isn't all that hot and spicy, but it does have a really nice little kick to it, and you want to season it up to your liking. And now, the Fume Blanc. I'm going to add a touch of Fume Blanc. This is just a really nice white wine that has a wonderful smoky flavor to it. That's where the fume comes from, and it becomes the perfect marinade for the rabbit. Now what I'll do is to take the rabbit and put it right down into the marinade, and I would actually put this in the refrigerator, y'all, overnight. Throw some more of those fresh herbs down in there and let this sit in the refrigerator. Toss it a couple times so it really picks up the marinade nicely. And then when it's all said and done, of course, you have to saute it. So the way I like to do it is to go ahead and saute that rabbit right in a nice little bit of vegetable oil. You can see the vegetable oil is nice and hot here. Look how nice and brown that rabbit is. Imagine for a minute the flavor that's on the outside of this rabbit after marinating in all of those herbs, spices, and Fume Blanc overnight. You can just imagine how great and tasty that is. Okay, now I have to make a nice sauce for it. So in my black iron pot right here, I have a really nice dark brown Cajun roux. Now, dark brown Cajun roux has a really nice, robust flavor to it. It kind of has a pecan, nutty, smoky flavor. But to that, I'm going to add a lot of those great Louisiana seasonings. I'm going to put a little bit of my onions into this, and look how that simmers quickly. A little celery, and in Louisiana we like to use a variety of seasonings. Onion, celery, bell pepper, that came to us down through the generations, so we still use that today. Look at all these beautiful colored bell peppers going down in there as well. And of course, y'all, I have to put a little bit garlic into it. Throw that in. And once that simmers, now I'm going to add a little chicken stock. If you're going to debone your rabbit, why not try rabbit stock? Just boil the rabbit bones in a little bit water with celery and carrots and thyme and basil, and you're going to make a really nice game stock or rabbit stock, which is fantastic, y'all. So I'm going to add the stock to get me a nice sauce here, and then a touch of Fume Blanc again. You can even add a little bit of the marinade to this dish if you want to at this point, but I'm going to add the Fume Blanc right into that. And while that's coming to a simmer, now I would place my rabbit into the pot. Let me grab a little spatula here, and I'll put some of the vegetables as well as some of these nice carrots down into my sauce, because this is going to put a nice flavor in there. I'm going to put some pearl onions too. Just throw some of those nice pearl onions down in there. Let your imagination run wild, y'all. Potatoes. You can imagine this is a real savory country dish. Imagine this on a cold winter night in Bayou Country at Maison Des Amis. This is going to be a really nice dish. Now you can season it with a little salt and pepper. Of course, just go ahead and add your favorite spices to this as well. Remember all those herbs on the rabbit, but put a little salt and pepper in here. And then go ahead and put the rabbit right down into that braising liquid, just like that. Is that beautiful or what? The wine is going to have a nice flavor, add a nice flavor to the dish. Now, what I want to do is add some green onions, parsley, of course, add all of that nice touch to it, and put a lid on top of the pot, y'all. Just go ahead and put a lid on top of it and let this braise for about an hour and a half until it gets nice, and it's going to have the bones are just going to be separating from the meat. And let me show you what it looks like when it comes out of the pot over here, y'all. It's sitting here on this wonderful platter. See that platter of rabbit over there? Isn't that great? With all of the flavors, and I like to serve it on a pecan rice dressing. And oh, I tell you, that's a great, great recipe of mixing meat and rice, one of the great Louisiana dishes. Now, another dish that I discovered over at Maison Des Amis was their white chocolate bread pudding. And I want to show you how to make the sauce first, and then we're going to put it together. Over here I have about 4 cups of heavy whipping cream. That's right, heavy whipping cream. Right here with about 1.5 cups of milk. And I've brought it up to 190 degrees. Now I'm going to add a cup of sugar to it and kind of stir that around just a little bit, because I want to blend that sugar in nicely and dissolve the granules of sugar. And once the grains of sugar are all dissolved, now I'm making a basic custard, just a very simple custard of Louisiana cooking. I'm putting about 6 or 8 eggs into this, and I'm whipping them really nicely, and I have to temper the eggs. So the first thing I'll do is put a little bit of this hot milk right down into the eggs. Just pour about 1 cup down in there, and that'll bring the temperature of those eggs up to about, I don't know, maybe about 120 degrees. So as I put it back into the milk, they won't scramble. That's the whole message here. Just make a nice custard by adding the hot eggs back to the hot whipping cream. And I did say whipping cream, y'all. Now what do I add to it? Well, about 9 ounces of white chocolate. Can you imagine this? This is bread pudding now. White chocolate bread pudding. Look at those little pieces of white chocolate, and they're going to melt oh so quickly right into that wonderful cream. And I'll just let it sit here for a second. Now, the interesting thing about this dish, y'all, is that the bread pudding doesn't call for any cinnamon, any nutmeg, any of those kind of things, because the white chocolate is so flavorful. That's all you need with that nice, rich egg custard. And this is the way I've got some of the custard already cool so I can work with it. But I have the bread already cut into little croutons. You see how this looks really, really nice? Just about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch thick. Now I'm going to add the custard. Oh, look at that white chocolate. Couldn't you put this right on top of ice cream? Or, oh my God, look at this. How rich that can possibly be. Now you want to take your fingers. Oh yeah, I did say your fingers. And go ahead and mash the custard right down into the bread. Just kind of push it down in there so the bread will absorb all of that nice custard. And then, of course, this is going to go into the oven. I'm going to put this into about a 350-degree oven, and I'm going to bake it for about 45 minutes until the custard is nice and golden brown. Of course, I have some already done, naturally, so let me pull it out of here. And you would top this, ooh, Lord, nice and hot. You put it right here, and I would want to top this with a little powdered sugar. You take a look at that while I close this oven door. And I would top it with a little powdered sugar. I could possibly put a little cane syrup on top of it if I wanted to, but look at this, y'all. White chocolate bread pudding directly from the kitchens of Maison Des Amis. And the funny thing about this, I'll say funny, the interesting thing about this dish is in Louisiana, I normally think of bread pudding with raisins and apples and fruit cocktail and all of these different things going into the pot or into the pan. But here, the white chocolate and the heavy whipping cream and the sugar is enough to send this dessert right over the top. It's absolutely fantastic. Talking about desserts, when I was at Maison Des Amis, Cynthia Breaux, who's a great cook, she runs a wonderful restaurant there, was good enough to share with me her chocolate turtle cheesecake. Hey, I had to bend her arm, twist her wrist, but she gave it to me, and now I want to give it to you. Let's go on down to the restaurant and see how it's done. Now, Cynthia, I did exactly what you told me to do. Let me make sure I was right here. 15 Oreo cookies, sugar included. I didn't eat any. Oh. Nope. I put it in the food processor and pulsed it around just for a second to crush it all up. And then I mixed 4 tablespoons of melted butter to create my my crust for the turtle cheesecake. How does it look there?
Oh, it looks marvelous.
Doesn't it look good? Now
nice
just
texture.
Pressed it down in there.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Now what else do we have to do
the only
here?
thing missing is caramel.
Okay, good. So we have, what did you do here?
It's 14 ounces of caramel mixed with about 5 ounces of evaporated milk, melted in the microwave, little bits and a little at a time.
You're just kind of pulsing it. You don't want to boil it.
Exactly.
Huh? Okay, good. And then you let it chill
let it
for a minute.
smell.
Yeah, looks really, really good. So you're going to pour that right in. Okay, good. So that goes right in there. Fantastic. Wow, that looks good, huh? Nothing like a good caramel.
Then you top it with some nice roasted pecans.
Ah, that's where the turtle comes from in this cheesecake. You know what somebody was telling me recently? They said that the turtle candy was kind of a mistake, that somebody had made this wonderful chocolate candy with caramel and pecans, and it looked so bad, they said, oh, that'll never sell. And one of the executives came in and said, oh, those things look like little turtles. That looks pretty good.
Oh, best mistake of a candy ever.
Best mistake. It became $1 million seller. Okay, so that's all that's done there. Now we have to make our batter. So I have here 1.5 pounds, right?
Of softened cream cheese.
And you can actually leave this out overnight, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
And then what you want to do to loosen it up a little bit more is add about 1/2 cup of sour cream.
All right, just kind of blend that in. And boy, if it's up at room temperature like this, it really blends quickly. Look how nice that is, okay?
Ready for some eggs?
Absolutely.
All right, we have about 4 eggs.
Oh, so you put them in all at one time. I always hear, and of course when we make cheesecakes in the restaurant, we always hear that you have to add 1 at a time.
In Breaux Bridge, we break the rules. We do things differently here.
and the cakes come out great, huh? Well, that means that it must be the power of the Bayou Teche out there, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we whisk the eggs into the cream cheese and the...
That looks good.
There you go. And then what's next?
Start adding some sugar.
All right, just dump that in. Boy, it really makes a nice batter.
It's simple. It's
yeah,
so simple.
very simple.
Then you just want to add a little vanilla.
Okay, good. So this is just basically a good New York style cheesecake. That's all to it. Just a very simple recipe. Did I add other flavors here?
Oh, all the flavors. Pralines with it are absolutely divine.
Ah, fantastic. Now all we would do would be to take the batter now and pour it right over the turtle, and then what?
Yeah, bake it at 350 degrees for about an hour. Then when you take it out, you let it rest just a bit. And then you garnish it.
Yeah, just now look at this gorgeous one you have here. So how did you garnish the top?
Oh, first you add some more caramel on top, some chocolate chips, some roasted pecans.
Ah, what a beautiful cake. And look how nice and high it is in that 9-inch pan. That's a beautiful, simple country cheesecake.
Again, in Breaux Bridge, things rise high. Exactly. You going to want some?
Absolutely. It looks great.
Well, I hear you and Dickie are going to be on the Bayou Teche. Why don't I bring you some with some hot coffee?
Ah, what a fantastic recipe, y'all. And from Café Des Amis, that's Cynthia's restaurant right there in downtown Breaux Bridge. And I was lucky enough to not only eat turtle cheesecake, but white chocolate bread pudding and some of the best seafood gumbo I think I ever put in my mouth. What a chef this girl is. She says she's an artist. She's a food artist as well. And let me show you a couple of the other dishes I discovered while I was sharing coffee in Café Des Amis. Let's take a look at the first one. This is the seafood gumbo, y'all, that really rich Louisiana staple that we all make. There's about 1,000 different recipes for this soup, but look at the shrimp and the okra. And you notice it's brown. It has a nice brown roux in it, just as you saw me do with the rabbit just a couple of minutes ago. So another great dish coming out of Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, and of course as many recipes for gumbo as there are people who create the dish. Now, another breakfast dish at Café Des Amis, I have to tell you a little bit and show it to you. It's called Oreille de Cochon, the old Cajuns called it in French the pig's ear because it was shaped like a pig's ear. And take a look on this plate here. I have some dough, and this is just a biscuit dough. And inside I've wrapped some boudin. This is the Cajun sausage of Breaux Bridge. And then you just roll it up like this, and it is deep fried. Take a look at that. You just kind of turn it, put it in a pan and deep fry it with the boudin. And look at it. I have some already fried here, y'all. I'm going to put a little cane syrup on top of it and a little powdered sugar. And yes, this is a breakfast dish. Now, one other thing, you heard Cynthia say she was going to serve us cheesecake. Well, I went with her husband, Dickie, to the bayous of the Teche, and he told me about his love of preservation. Dickie, I can't wait to get into that turtle cheesecake, but I have to put you to work first. I have to ask you a few questions. You have one of the most interesting professions out there in the world. You're in the area of historic preservation. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, John, it's quite interesting work. The thing that we're noticing is that America is really beginning to understand that our culture, our history lies in our buildings, along with other things. And this phenomena is certainly catching on, and it's giving us a lot of work. Small towns across America are becoming quite interested, and they're interested in revitalization, so we're staying pretty busy.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned small towns, because as I travel around, I see that all of these great little towns, and especially the inner city downtowns, are in need of a tremendous amount of help. Y'all phone must be ringing off the hook.
Yeah, we're staying busy. Of course, the phenomena that has occurred, as everyone in America recognized, we sort of moved out to the suburbs, so to speak, and we've sort of left inner city vacant. That's the heart and soul of America. And so now we're coming back, and we're attaching to this. And the phenomena that is occurring is that we're finding people who are quite interested and certainly are in a position to make things happen in their hometown. We give the little spark that makes those things happen.
And I guess once the inner cities and the downtowns come back to life, jobs are created, paint starts to go up on boards. So actually, it's all kind of a catalyst, and one depends on another.
It's economics along with preservation, and the two work perfectly together.
Hand in hand. Now you've traveled to a lot of towns. I mean, probably Charleston, Savannah, New Orleans. Why did you settle on Breaux Bridge?
Well, I was born here, but the reason I moved back here, my wife picked Breaux Bridge, and she picked Breaux Bridge for one reason: the buildings and the atmosphere here. And the people, of course. And we're very happy that we have settled here in Breaux Bridge, and it's worked out very well for us.
Well, I tell you, I'm very happy that y'all took the time to renovate this beautiful B&B as well. Now, when I drive in front of it, I would best describe this gorgeous little house as a cottage. How do you describe the architecture?
Well, we're told that it's the only Creole Caribbean-style home in St. Martin Parish. The thing that I think that it says most about Maison Des Amis, though, it was Cynthia's vision of the house. She saw it in the state that you see it now, not in the state that we originally saw it. I think the most important thing about the house is that it's comfortable, it's cool. You're right on the Bayou Teche here. You just get the vision that maybe Gabriel will come paddling by here looking for Evangeline any day now, and that could well happen. But I think the most important thing is it's comfortable. It's a wonderful place to be. It's Southern comfort.
Now that's a great style of architecture. In fact, I would tell people that the style of architecture is Southern comfort. Now, what about, of course, the rustic look on the inside? It's a beautiful look, magnificent antique furniture. But one thing that stands out here is the artwork.
Yes. My wife is a fabulous artist herself, and she has surrounded herself and made it a mission to try to incorporate art along with her work, and especially in Maison Des Amis. Every piece that you see in there is a piece of artwork with some artist who is located or from Louisiana. I think that in itself brings that certain mystique to the building, along with that energy. And I think that art plays such an important role in inner city redevelopment. It's unbelievable. It has played a very important role in our success here.
What do you think visitors here remember most when they leave? What do you want them to remember about this town and about Maison Des Amis?
I think the thing, especially with Breaux Bridge, you know, some people say that we speak a language that hasn't been spoken in other areas for 300 years. We're almost locked in a cultural freeze, so to speak, that goes back for quite some time. The food certainly is exceptional. The music, Zydeco, Cajun, is all located in this area. But I think the most important thing that people come away and they tell us that over and over again, the food, the lodging, the wonderful experience, the comfortable, the people. The people.
Well, it's fantastic, and I want to thank you so much for sharing Maison Des Amis with us today and sharing your great hospitality. We appreciate it.
And let me tell you, the Bayou Teche is here, and you're welcome anytime.
Okay,
It'll be waiting for you for your next trip back.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for stopping by as we continue to visit the bed and breakfasts of the Bayou State and cook up more great Taste of Louisiana. Let's eat this cheesecake. I promised it to you. Delicious, huh?
To learn more about A Taste of Louisiana with Chef John Folse and Company, visit PBS online at the internet address on your screen. Hot beignets and warm boudoirs by Chef John Folse is available for $29.95. This companion book to the series features over 150 recipes. To order, call 1-800-973-7246 or write to the address on your screen.
Major funding for A Taste of Louisiana with John Folse and Company is made possible in part by Zatarain's authentic New Orleans-style dinner mixes. Zatarain's, a good way to jazz up dinner and a real New Orleans original since 1889.
Louisiana. She's the exception and never the rule. She's a mystery that asks not to be solved, but simply to be experienced. Louisiana, where you can come as you are and leave different. Additional funding is provided by the Friends of Louisiana Public Broadcasting and the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting.